The first pillar is really around optimising the assets that we have, and I think certainly really trying to drive productivity and efficiency, looking at our business in a completely different light to drive, whether it's capital utilisation, labour utilisation, really looking at how people interact. The second pillar is around step changes, and so that's more around looking how can we change our processes quite fundamentally. There are a number of other innovations that we're looking at for the future, both in metallurgy as well as mining. We've certainly looked at the manufacturing industry, both in terms of some of the fabulous robotics and integrated planning that the manufacturing industry has, which is well in advance of ours, and the transparency through their value chain. We've also looked at the aeronautics industry, who are sensational when it comes to predictive maintenance and using data. In fact, Formula One has also been an industry we've had a look at. One of my challenges to internally as well as to industry forums that I talk to is let's not compare ourselves to the mining industry. You know, it's good, it's nice to know where we sit in terms of the mining industry, but for each of our processes, let's compare ourselves to who's the best in the world and see what we can learn and bring into that, because what I'd like to see is mining now leapfrog all of those industries that I spoke about before and be right out in the forefront where we started 25 years ago. There are some barriers, certainly, and then there are also some perceptions or paradigms that I think we have to get over. I think one of the paradigms that hasn't or is not true anymore, it may have been true historically, is that digitising is expensive. I think one of the other barriers though is we still think about ourselves as a capital intensive industry. And look, we are an expensive industry, so I'm not saying we're not expensive. So we're actually much more people intensive. You know, so whenever we then think about the implementation of technologies or changes, we've actually got to think less about the technology and the change and more about the people and how we are actually going to get people to take on board this change, think about this change. And to do that, I think we have to get much more customer focused, where people are our customers of these products because we want them to implement them. So we're doing a lot of work in digitisation especially, but in innovation as well, looking at how we use an agile, customer focused approach for a number of the innovations and a number of the improvements that we're making. We do have to have you know, a much more diverse, much more inclusive culture and group of people as we go forward. You know, and I think there's a lot of research that suggests the more diverse thinking you can get in the business, the more likely we will solve problems in a new and novel way and make breakthroughs. And I think especially as we start using data and information, we look for people to see patterns in that data and information and come up with novel solutions or innovations. I think that's just more and more so. You know, as we move forward, we are going to be trying to attract a younger generation, and as we digitise, as we create more innovations, there will be skills that we currently don't have in our business that we will need. One of the things that we're looking at developing is really creating a mining platform and creating that philosophy and approach which is highly successful in our Barrick operations and delivering constant value to our shareholders and obviously driving down our all-in sustaining cost.